Hey guys, Jocelyn here. I am finally back with another wire wrap jewelry tutorial for you guys. I do apologize that I have been taking such a long break after our move. I kind of had a rough winter. I've been catching one thing after another and culminating in 2 weeks of bronchitis for the past month. So if my voice sounds a little weirder than usual, that is why. But I wanted to get back into things with a nice, fun, easy ring design for you guys today. And you may have seen this one around. That's because it's really pretty and really easy to make. You'll just need your standard tools, chain nose pliers, flush cutters. You may or may not even need your round nose pliers, but have them on hand just in case. You'll also need a ring mandrel. And for this design, since the ring does have a bead in it, I like to use a ring mandrel with a little slot in the back. That'll help you get the right size while still having a bead. You'll also need a ruler, and you might find it handy to have a Sharpie. You're going to need some wire. You'll need 20 gauge wire, so I'll be using sterling silver 20 gauge wire. And you'll also need some little beads. You'll need one 6mm bead. I'm going to be using a little turquoise one here for this ring. And that 6mm bead is going to be your center solitaire here. So go ahead and make sure it does need to fit on your 20 gauge wire, so just double check that it fits on there. And if it doesn't, you can use you know, a bead reamer or whatever to make it bigger, or just pick a different bead. For these little beads along the sides, you can use whatever you like. I'm actually going to use sterling silver beads. You're going to need a 3.5mm, and I did get mine from Rio Grande. This is the item number you can put in the search if you want to get these there, but again, you can use any beads of the same size. I'll be using 3.5mm, 3mm, and 2.5mm, and you'll need 2 of each of these. And then lastly, you'll just need some 4mm, there's my bead I'm going to use, some 4mm Swarovski bicones. And I'm going to include a link below where you can get these on Amazon. As always, I do have you know, information down there of what tools and materials I'm using and where you can get those, so do check the information section right below the video. You might need to click more to see that. Now, as far as what length of wire you need goes, it depends on your ring size. I've worked out a few of the different sizes and wire lengths required, and you should be able to kind of extrapolate from here based on whatever ring size you want to make. I just did the I think they're the 4 most common US ring sizes, they may not be, and wire length in inches, and because I'm really nice, I went ahead and converted to UK ring size and needed wire length in centimeters. And if you guys are curious, I think different countries do have different ring sizes, so I will include, again, in the description section below, a link to a really helpful conversion chart with, you know, all the different equivalencies for different types of ring sizes. And again, for converting from inches to centimeters, you can just go to Google and type in inches to centimeters, and you'll get a little converter tool that pops up, so that's really easy to use. So I'm going to be making today a size 8 ring, so I'll be using 12¼ inches of my 20 gauge wire, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And as always, the first time you're making a design, I do recommend that you start with, you know, an extra inch or 2 of wire, just so that you can make sure you have enough to finish. You really don't want to run out of wire, you know, halfway through. So I went ahead and cut that, and what we're going to do is slide on our bead, and we want this to be in the center of the wire. So what I'm going to do is just pull out my ruler, and I'm going to find the center of the wire. So that's going to be just about there for me, and I'm just going to put a little mark there with a Sharpie. You don't have to do this, you can kind of eyeball where to place the bead, but I just find this is helpful to get it in the center. So I'm going to slide my little bead on here and just put it right over that mark I made. And then go ahead and pull out your ring mandrel. And we're going to want to start wrapping one size larger than what you're hoping to make, so I'm going to position this on the size 9. And I'm going to put the bead in this little groove on the back, and that will help us to get the right size ring, because it does get smaller as you make it. And I'm just going to start wrapping these two tightly around. I'm going to cross them at the back. So let me show you what that looks like. They're just crossed at the back right there. And I want a size 8, so I'm going to wrap at the size 9. So I'm going to bring these wires up, and they're going to be on either side of my central ring here, as you can see. So one is going that way, one is going that way, and I'm keeping them tight by holding with my fingers on here to make sure that they don't slip around and loosen up. So once they are crossing over and above, you're gonna spiral them around. So I'm gonna keep my left hand locking that in there. I'm gonna kind of use my fingers on my right hand to spiral these two ends around the central bead. Just like that. And I'll do another spiral here. And I'm going to do a total of 3 spirals around this central bead. And at this point they're pretty much locked in, so I'm going to do one at a time. So I'll bring that one around. And then I'll bring this one around. So I've done 3 spirals, and I want my ends to be going in opposite directions on either side here, just like that. And at this point we can slide it off the ring mandrel. We're done with that. And now we're going to start putting on those little extra beads. So I'm just going to start with the smallest one, so the 2.5, and I'll thread him on there. And then the next smallest one, which is going to be the 3mm. And then the largest of the metal beads is 3.5, so I'll slip that one on. And you want this to kind of be curving around the outside, so what I'm going to do is just use my fingers to kind of start bending that in a nice little curve. And then lastly we'll put on our 4mm bicone. I'm using clear ones. You can use whatever color you think complements your central stone nicely. And you want your bicone kind of just meeting these base wires here. And once that is happening, I'm going to pull out my chain nose pliers. I'm going to take this end, and I want it going perpendicular to the shank of the ring. So I'm just going to bend it so that it's more perpendicular. And then we're going to actually wrap this tail through the center and start wrapping around the ring base here. So to do that, I'm going to grip with my chain nose pliers right where it's supposed to cross over those other 2 wires. I'm going to tuck the tail inside the ring, just like that. I'm just going to start wrapping it around tightly. And you can use your chain nose pliers to assist you here, making sure that we're getting a nice tight wrap. There we go, so that's 2. We'll keep going here. And I'm making sure that each wrap is lying right next to the next one. We're going to continue doing that until we have about 5 or so wraps, basically until you run out of wire. So once you get to the end where you just have a little bit of a tail left over, we're going to finish this off, and I like to have my tail kind of just reaching the edge here, but not going under to where it'll poke your finger as you're wearing the ring. So I'm going to trim this off with really just a tiny bit of extra there, just enough that we can kind of wrap it around and have it heading down but not actually touching your finger, so that the end isn't, you know, super visible. I'm actually going to trim off a little more, just so the end isn't super visible from the outside when you're wearing the ring. So that's kind of what we're going for there. And I'll just use my chain nose pliers to tighten that down. Just rub it, make sure there's no loose end that's going to catch on anything. You should be able to tell with your finger if it's nice and smooth. So that's what we have right now, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So let me flip that on over. And same deal, we'll start with the smallest of our little beads. And I'll just work on up to the biggest, and then the crystal. And as before, we'll just wrap this wire through the inside and around the base of the ring. And you want to make sure that you have the same number of wraps on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off this tail now because I have symmetrical wraps on either side. And same thing as before, we'll just snug down that little end. So there you go, we are done. You might just want to flare out these two wires on the back ever so slightly to make it more comfortable. But that is really all there is to this little beaded solitaire wire wrapped ring. It's really fun because it's so quick and easy to make, and you can really customize it with different, bead choices. You can do birthstones and give them as gifts. Really fun design, and I hope you enjoyed it. Here are some others that I've made in different colors, as you can see. I made a little red one, so really fun, really quick and easy. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I do have many more tutorials planned, and hopefully I will be better about getting them out quickly here. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on seeing those when they do come out. Hope you all are having a great spring. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting!